Hey, you guys. It's like I can't stop myself. It's MJ from All Love TV. And look, I now get notifications on my email when I go live. Emoji kiss. I do love. Um, so this is interesting or not, one of those. Obviously you guys know I'm desiring to go live again. Hi, 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 hi. This is live. And yesterday, bonjour Lakshmi. Yesterday we were here chatting for about an hour, and it all day the video has been processing, and it's still processing. I don't know if you can see, but like that normally is happening for, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something at the very most, and it would just process like naturally on its own and then appear on my YouTube channel. And it's one of those things, for any of you doing like online work, without having a massive budget to pay other people to do stuff for you. It's like the biofeedback of technology, and how, in what ways is it working for us, and like why do these things happen? It's like one of those things, like astrologers were talking about Mercury retrograde. Well, I'm pretty sure Mercury is not retrograde right now. Not that I really even buy into that shit as far as like limitations concerned. It's all just like co-creative coordination that we're like lining up with, in essence, at different times in our life, because usually different times of our life is when we are in the mode of like seeking advice or wisdom. Yeah, the live from last night, I'm trying to think, what was I wearing? um but there were a few of you here. We were having chit chat. Bianca Fish was here, Divine Sight was here, Lori showed up, John Beanie was here, like the crew basically. And then yeah, and then I like all day I just, the thing is, when it's in that processing, you watched it today. What? How fucking peculiar. You were not on it live. You watched it today. I just heard a knock. Maybe somebody's like, be quiet, shut up. Who's talking? It sounded like it was coming from somebody else's house. So my roommate's like 3 stories up, so I don't think, um I was not on it live. All right, okay. So you weren't here with us like yesterday. It's funny because when I was saying that, I was like, wait, were you? I just like assume you're in my aura. So um here's about clarity. Yeah, how fucking bizarre. But it's not turning up on my channel for me. It just says processing, and then when I go to my channels, there's no like, the video doesn't appear. But you got it. So it's appeared to Safali, how are you, my friend? Turn your phone on and off. All right, Lakshmi, thank you. Sweet darlings. The thing is as well, like I'm adjusting to being here and having different connections. So I'm not, so for like the whole year up until Portugal, and even in Portugal, I was using my data because I have a monster business plan. It's like when I was working it out with the phone company and I kept running out of data, I'd be like, no, you don't understand. Like I'm online a lot. Like I can't. And then it was doing these live shares and having it being cut off. Oh, hi, Gigi. Really? Why you change your face name? Why you change, Gigi? um Yeah, and that's kind of curious for me as well. Um, lost my train of thought. Not sure where I was going with that. Hi, tree hugger. How are you? Well, either way, I guess for some of you, you've received the video, right? Yeah, I totally love. Hi. Oh my God, I love our family. And then she comes in with I love family. Hi, you guys. Um, so I did randomly watch the most recent, or I don't know if it's the most recent, but like one of the Luna updates, and I did resonate with like a next level purge, and then that's also been hello all. I've seen the subtleties come up from within. Safawi, my friend, kami sikuluarga. I'm sure you're talking and saying something that you taught me. Guys, Safawi is my friend from Lombok. For those of you who like, do you remember when I did the earthquake appeal? And Safawi's family and community in Lombok are people that I'm endeavoring with all to love, obviously, um, to just like hang out with and support whenever necessary. Although Indonesia's been hit pretty hard with different weather patterns. The Ring of Fire. Um, yeah, I hope everyone is thriving. The energies do feel thriving for sure. Um, but like the shift recently, it's like going through that wormhole of creation, like like it's fucking intense. And yeah, but well, here's the thing that I'm aware of as well. I'm like, I guess creative energy of any kind is a sexual energy, isn't it? Like sexual energy is creation energy. And actually, I was having a bit of a download about that last night, and the amount of healing, that one must like continuously endeavor from within self to come to this neutral place with sex and sexuality. I'll continue to noodle with that, obviously. Hey, Matab. That is fucking really nice of you to say that. The masculine energy takes its place now. Can you explain that? Well, as in the divine feminine has been risen to heal us all through like the fuck. And now that we're connected, the masculine energy is coming through. Mm, that kind of makes sense to me because I feel a lot more action oriented. As last month, it was like divine femme was like cocoon yourself and heal, woman, once and for all. Stop outpouring all the time, like that's what we feel now. Interesting. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I can definitely reflect that as well. I've been feeling the same with my creative expression expanding, feeling sexier. Mm. That's what we like to hear. Yeah, yeah, and it's such a vital energy. My God, who doesn't want to feel the sexiness vibration? You know, that's a big part of it. We don't want it to be abused or manipulated, and I think that is something that like yeah, something that's strange to me that's coming into because we're still clearing like um collective agreements, which to me again are kind of socially programmed indoctrination about sexuality, about love and romance and all this kind of stuff. It's like um one is the clearing that I've had recently where like as the intuitive or the empath, you can actually like clear yourself and someone else's like I guess you could say sexual karma where we've and then this is unfortunate but like society because there's so much like convolution there's a lot of weird sort of distorted desire around sexuality and then people lie and it's like so there's various veils and healing to do in one's own self to find and feel into the authenticity integrity and sovereignty to then be having totally clear exchanges that don't have any like clearing after, if that makes sense to you guys. Yo, hi Revel. How nothing else moves the vibration. Yeah. Mm. So yeah, it does to it's like 80% feminine, 20% masculine. Powers of the rest of the divine system. It's like everything's been up leveled and like certain base tones. So like the operating system's been upgraded. It's like everything gets drawn up, right? And so we're not operating from the base those we're not operating singularly through the three base chakras now. They're that energy is rising to the heart and beyond. But then the way I see it is that it filters back down. Again, it's like an infinity loop. So we're constantly kind of clearing and healing and grounding and clearing and healing and grounding. Hey, divine healing. How are you, beautiful? How are you, beautiful? Yeah, Revel, I totally missed you guys too. That's why I'm back. Once I like got over the intensity of like what is life and then settled into my new environment, I'm back because I totally missed this. And I yeah, that's all. I've had different yeah, a little bit of some different shape shifting happening around the online work as well. And ultimately like getting organized. I'm still doing stuff though. There's still a lot going on. There's still a lot going on behind the scenes, you guys. As in, like, I'm working a lot to figure stuff out, and then it's like tying up. I guess this is it too, like tying up loose ends, where I'm having to like. I don't know if any of you guys have had a, a bit of a nomadic life like me, but it can be quite a challenge when you're moving around a lot and, like, to keep up with the changes of addresses on your different things, and so as I navigate certain bodies within my online world, um, yeah, still sorting about for sure. Why is that not allowed? Um, so So I'm like uncovering addresses and then like it's people that have been really challenging to actually contact. um, and it's stirring stuff up because it's people who one are gossiping about me, having not made any contact with me personally, and possess s- some of my things as well, and acted, I would say, in a not very upstanding way, and, like, so it's ugh, see, I can feel it. It's like, ooh. But at the same time, I'm moving in the direction of, like, facing that and being like, "Okay, here's what the solution feels best for everybody," because nothing in me has the energy of attack or with certain people either. It's not I mean, I can certainly get, like, reactive in the fire of it, of wanting to call people out, and especially people who really acted out of shittiness, and then you find out that they're still, like, talking about you, and you're just like, "Oh, I don't understand. Oh, truth and lies being revealed. Hmm. Karma's a bitch, everybody." 'Cause it is, right? Oh, so much coming to light, truth and lies being revealed. And then there's a load of hi, so I'm feeling like Molly, namasaya ana apakaba. Dude, Safawi. I need to have a tutorial with you when I go back. I need to be a bit more formal with my learning of of your Indo slang in the Lombok vibrashe. I get hella trolled. Revel, that's part of the shift that I had to have, was basically tuning out the trollage. It's essentially, and or winding down or finishing the live feed when something hits up against me that doesn't feel nice, basically. It's not about that, is it? Like, I appreciate triggers and challenges, but I did have to pull right back, you know? Ignorance stays stuck thinking if they feel the horny instead of the lightning. Channeling it for greater spiritual expansion of consciousness instead of procreating, pretty much. However, I don't think that means not having sex. I think it means having conscious sex with conscious partners in a clear way. But I'm not exactly sure how many people have risen themselves yet to that ability, because often we go through these sexual channels or sexual evolution or something, where libido is like non-existent, and or there's certainly with the Catholic Church, and I can testify, but there's a lot of guilt programming and shame programming around sexuality. So people often deny sexual desire in lieu of um, in lieu of they deny sexual desire and then create a sense of righteousness, but then sexual desire gets distorted, and that's where like perversion and pedophilia and I grew up in the Catholic Church around the time when priests were getting called out for sexual offenses to the altar boys, and I had one at my school. I don't recall any misdemeanor, but a priest at our school was called out for like a huge amount of boys and girls my age coming out with like, well, this priest did this to us when we went into confession. I don't know if you guys grew up Catholic or whatever, but when you're Catholic from quite a young age, certainly after Holy Communion, I'm pretty sure at a Catholic school, this was my experience anyway. We had to like go into confession every week, which you're a little kid. I can actually remember standing in the queue, waiting to go into confession, like drudging it up. Like, what can I confess about? Like having to think about it. And then like think about a little kid having to confess about like, I'm having sexual thoughts, or I got into a fight with my sister, and like essentially you're being indoctrinated to just be you're a guilty, disgusting sinner. Um, so that is I don't agree with any of that divine healing. Anything that makes us feel ashamed, I don't buy into. Because there's in different I've come across that in different spiritual circles, like women contain the energy of the man for like 7 years. So women basically it's like veiled bullshit disempowerment around sexuality. More shame, more burden for women to carry around if they have the desire or if they have the act. And what was the one that you said we really give a piece of our soul in sex? No. And no, because sorry, not you, darling. But I'm like, that's the kind of like stuff that really fires me up because it's such a kind of the multi-layered of, and I'm saying patriarchy in the unified, imbalanced perspective of our limitation of our disconnected self, right? I went to Catholic school when I got kicked out of public school also. So yeah. So and those of us would resonate here. If you guys are resonating with the growing up the Catholic, same. I was at a Catholic school for 13, 14, maybe 15. I'm trying to think when I think I was 13 or 14 when I went to a public school and started meeting like non-Catholic people, and we're like, you guys feel different to me. You don't have all this shame and guilt, basically. Mm-hmm. Recovering Catholic, straight up. And then it's like all the priests they have. It's like I don't know. Ugh, I've got to integrate more, you guys, and like, isn't this share called processing? Like, there's so much energy moving through and such an upgrade happening that I'm like, all I can do. Hey, Elf, you're gonna teach a yoga class soon, aren't you, my dear? Oh look, I just saw this in the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, look, I brought my book out, you guys. And I guess okay, so then what I got was like, the point is like people, humans in different positions, whatever they might be. You know, they could be positions in some kind of social status power. They could be just positions in your life as far as being able to control you or whatever. Um, and in my unique perspective, it just all comes down to the energetic entanglements of like um, the trigger points and the outworking of our own soul's disempowered externalization. So anytime we're seeking something, something distorted is going to happen if we're truly on that path. Otherwise, people just stay entangled in codependent relationships. I figured that what's with tantra. I would say tantra is still like endeavoring, just like a lot of our pure yoga texts. You know, sans the male dominated, austere, militarized indoctrination of the yoga practice, certainly of the yoga asanas, and or the austerity of like reclusivity, although I do align with that as I continue on my own unique journey, that there is a form of it. But I would say like, okay, and this is just because this is my personal point of attraction and like part of my, I would say, divine work, is that I'm not being called to study other modalities anymore. Like personally, I just want to like be myself, speak from the heart, and share as honestly and authentically as possible, but not give credence and not give external power any, or rather, external knowledge or external information any power over. Because then that, to me, permissions all y'all and all humans to be their own authority, to be their own sovereign truth, to noodle out what sexuality and tantra means for you. And um, so I would say there's nuggets of wisdom and truth in what tantra, just like every spiritual text that has born a world religion has like nuggets of information there. So thanks, divine sight. So similarly, I find that tantra and like the wisdom of tantra has nuggets of truth that helps to elevate us from the base tone of fuck for sorry to be crude, make baby, make baby, I caveman woman, it's not that. So like in that, and what the energizing experience of infinity brother supposed to be vessel co-creatively. Sure, well, sure, and everyone's going to have a different perspective, a different way of interpreting the teachings, just like all of us in our yoga world has a slightly different way of interpreting yoga and sharing and expressing yoga. So every human will have a different way. And there's my piece about, I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to know what tantra is, because some human at some point downloaded and expressed that information and called it tantra, or called it reiki, or called it yoga, or called it, so they're just words that express a direct living experience that a human being had, and we are one with that infinite intelligence. So in essence, all we need to do is attune to that essence from within, that divine essence from within, and be the channel of that expression. And for me, in a really kind of simple sense, like any creative thing that we do, our sexuality is just another means of creative expression. And I agree with Tree Hugger in that sense. It's the co creative channel of expression in loving matrimony, in marriage, when two souls, and this is what the Magdalene manuscript, essentially, this is how I interpreted, which is one of the last texts that I informed myself with. But um, essentially, when two beings are like held and supported in true love from the field of higher consciousness, in an integral, grounded way, when those two beings are making love, they're creating such energies of bliss. That is the potency of co-creative manifestation, that you rise yourself into this like elixir state of such beauty and love and like gooey bliss vibrashe. And then those are the energies that are permeating the field, which when we look at the amount of shame, guilt, fear, and like or abuse, right? So when we're not conscious, this is my personal experience as well, when we're under the veils or we're denying the self, or we're in these sort of toxic patterns, we abuse ourselves with everything. We abuse ourselves with food, we abuse ourselves with sex, right? And I get the biofeedback from that, of the distortion of having these base tone desires, like I want that. And I see it acting out even in the online work sometimes, like not to call people out or make an example of anything, but people like, oh yeah, I have issues, like I need to have a session, but then they lie. The session isn't about what they're going through or their emotions, it's about how I should feel for them, because they're having those feelings. And I'm increasingly like, oh, and hence why this ultimate shapeshift happened for me over the summer, was to have those boundaries in place and to have that clarity in place. Interesting. Mhm. So divine, like I'm just, oh, I took some shrooms last month. I literally saw what me and this two baby's DNA would look like. Mushrooms are powerful for sure. Huge, um, spongy, like detoxification, massive clarity as well. But any plant medicine, I would say, when we do it consciously, is like mega, mega powerful. Lava, oh, like Vegas. If normal sex is root, each chakra can intercourse with the other chakras. Yeah, yeah. Well, see, tree hugger, at this point, all I could say is like, well, you have your connection and your divine insight, right? You are playing with the interplay of your channel, and that so what I'm more aware of in my field is just the almost like the obsession with knowledge and knowing and words and information, and increasingly, and it's sort of like, ugh, but wonderful at the same time. Increasingly, it's just the presence, like just being in the presence and not knowing. Um, pardon me, not knowing, and allowing there just to be the perpetual biofeedback resonance of experience, um, and like allowing that experience to unfold. However, my own personal, like, just point of attraction and or discipline is to stay focused in the thought frequency that feels best ultimately, from a place of divine service, from a place of divine offering. Because even to be fair, like even chakras, I don't, because there's infinite chakra points in my awareness as well. And in the esoteric, a lot of the base tone esoteric teachings only talk about the seven. And yet, as we activate our beingness, they're everywhere. And um, the central pillar is super important as a kind of starting gate and starting point for people to activate and come alive in their beingness. And we all, I guess we all have that portal, don't we, where we're studying these these teachings, but as we integrate the self and like live in that flame of truth and authenticity, to me, we as the individual spark sort of blow all traditional teaching and out of, like, because all of that external stuff is just biofeedback, learning exchange via the source that already knows itself, if that makes sense. Yeah, infinite for sure. Hey, Christian, how are you? Yes, because the words can unlock doors and others' perspectives. Yes, 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 yes. Like hence the reflection of our authenticity, like being able to hold space for the noodles of self, um, but without living in fear, and so having to like, well, in this textbook, the the third chakra is color pink, and so you're wrong, you know? Because I'm like, I don't. It's rising out of duality, basically, where there is no right and wrong. There is just the experience of being, because we are, yeah, precisely, Lakshmi, because we are the God source. We are the source of divine spark, and that is essentially to me, the ultimate holy grail of truth, is that you, the being, are the only truth and perspective. And yet we're so caught up in like I must accumulate knowledge so I can be a powerful ego being, that we just get distracted. And I'm perpetually amazed at like the depth of like just going within. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much information. And then the biofeedback of the continuation of the experience, because curiously, as a paradox, this life for me personally is getting better and better, more and more and more joy, more and more like, wow, I just get to have fun, da, da, da. Where it came out of like shame and guilt and darkness. And the more I tried to fit in, the more I was like, oh fuck, like what is life? And so I was never really able to. Like the only corporate job I had was when I was 17. I had a job for 4 months at Blockbuster. And even then, like before my so-called awakenings, spiritual awakenings, I don't know why I need to like define that, but like even then I was like, what is the point of any of this? Like stacking the shelves with like the movies and like having to go to like corporate meetings so we could learn about the corporate jargon. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what is the point of any of this? I didn't understand. And so I quit. And then ever since then, I only ever worked for independent retailers, a few different, well, retails. And then again, whenever I tried to do corporate work, even so-called charity work, but you know how like most charity work is actually corporate, if you know what I mean? Because you're still working for a body of an organization, basically. And there's all these bullshit rules. Anyway, yeah, any corporate job, literally, I lasted like a day, maybe 2 shifts, but rarely. Like actually, I'm like retracing hotel work, or if it was corporate big company, I literally one day in, one day out, I'd be like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't. Like I would literally be in hysterics, and then eventually I would wander around the street in this daze, and I'd stumble upon, and then the only job I lasted for longer than like a couple months or a day was an independent coffee shop, and then an independent clothing store, one in Vancouver, an independent furniture store, an independent clothing store in the UK, and then 2007 I was off. 2007 I was like, screw this, I need to be a freelance something or other. So freelancing was, essentially what I had to do to start my freedom path. And then those of us who choose to do the freelance thing, usually that, oh, 555, yes, yes, I keep seeing 555. And then my mom even messaged me yesterday being like, honey, I just woke up and it was 555. 555 is a really good number to be seeing right now. Well, so you do the freelance thing, and then after a while you realize like the time and money exchange is limited, so then you do the entrepreneurial the entrepreneurial thing, or you set up your own business, right? Or you get, or divine sight knows, it's like, or you just get guided, and or life divine it ends up being like, now this is what you're doing, and you're like, okay. I just set up All to Love as a blog and a place to promote my yoga classes in 2013. And then I was secretly doing my YouTube channel, sort of hoping that none of my yoga clients would like watch, but like wanting them to support. But then that was me traversing like a lot of the persecution energy, because I had people in the actual yoga community be like, could you just talk about meditation and like not talk about your weird YouTube stuff? And I was like, okay. And then that was like the beginning of the end of me being a firm placement in any yoga community, because I was like, so I'm not allowed to be myself. And there's all these rules apparently, around meditation. And to me, at this point, I can honestly say that is all bullshit. Spirituality as a construct is bullshit under the veil of separation, because all there is the one being, as in your authenticity is the only truth. And authenticity in the world of form, in my experience and observation, doesn't look like anything. We have authentic, compassion creators walking down the catwalk and playing in the world of politics. And I'm sure there are bankers and celebrities and people of all homeless people and bin men and just people of all walks of life that are themselves teachers, school teachers. I met a really cool dude yesterday. Building stages. Like there are just really authentic people just doing any number of things that aren't spiritual. And that's part of where some of all y'all resonate, I think, is um in CD store or my best classic Divine Sight and I have a fairly parallel creative timeline in many ways, and it doesn't surprise me. Independent coffee shop, clothing store, same. I didn't have a CD store, but a skate shop and furniture. The furniture was the worst. I was the worst. I would literally just sit there and get drunk. I was 20. I was 19. I just had my awakenings and was living in Vancouver, like working two jobs, basically working 10 to 6 every single day. I had to work 7 days a week just to pay rent and afford my drug and alcohol habits. So, um, and I was, this is me after having my awakenings going like, what the fuck is this? Like what? So we're just expected to fucking work full-time slavery just to pay a bit of rent and live in a shitty basement apartment? Like that's, and I looked around at my common humanity and was like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? Meanwhile, we're all sold this like, work hard, make money, it's gonna be so fun. And I was experiencing like multiple deaths on an egoic level because I didn't understand the world on CDs at the music store. Yeah, I spent all my money on clothes at the Thriller or Resurrection. So is that weird? I hadn't even thought of that, the names of the stores that I worked at. I worked at Thriller. That was the skate and snowboard, independent skate and snowboard shop. By the way, the owner was Michael Jackson. Like, I kid you not. And this is the skate and snowboard shop that I ended up randomly getting a gig. So this Apple Macintosh representative came in and was like, we're looking for like the next face of the Apple Macintosh campaign. And I was like just partying a lot of the time and like, okay, wow. And like took a picture and then got asked to like go to another thing. Yeah, except they buy you out. It's not like a bad thing, but it certainly triggered that realization that like you don't get opportunities don't come along just because you work hard. Like I was just sitting on my arse, probably on a come down when she came in. And then how weird is this? So then I go to Whistler, I get picked with like, I don't know, 7 other people. We get a night in a swanky hotel. We all get like, I don't know, I think it was about $800 for like a day on the mountain, of like photos and blah blah. And then they just you sign off. So they give you your money and you sign off. Like they own your images at that point. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then I had my more waitings, and I end up off I go traveling to England. And then that Christmas, or possibly even like a whole year, it might have been like a whole almost a whole year after the fact, I'm walking down Regent Street in London, in like central London, and it's Christmas time. There's lights, and I look into a window of an Apple Macintosh shop, and it's me. And I'm like, oh, that's my fucking face. And then it started to like, then the kind of unraveling of like royalty and how companies use, anyway, it doesn't matter. So, but that was like my, one of those things that happened where I was like, yeah, opportunities aren't, it's not obvious. This whole manifestation and following your path and da da da. I was really noodling with like, it's not what people are telling us. That's what I knew for sure. Um, and so, yeah. And then, so that came along at Thriller, and Thriller had two sites, and I was managing until I found out he hired a guy who was older than me. And I'd been managing the shop for like 8 months, and then he hires this dude. And I found out the dude was making £2 or $2 more than me an hour. And I was like, I'm pretty sure we're doing the same job. And you've just hired this guy. In fairness, like, yeah, he probably did have like more professional retail experience. And like, I literally just sat there and like would go out and smoke cigarettes like every hour. So I was a shitty employee. But then after that, I left and I went to England with a little bit of inheritance that I had left. Um, Hence privilege, hence like even the start off point of my ability to travel was coming from my privileged parentage, but it wasn't as privileged as all the millionaire kids that I grew up with. So there was also this weird distortion of like feeling hard done by, but me having this compassionate awareness. But we have so much. Like we're actually fucking hardcore privileged, but not compared to those families. So we should be fucking, yeah, or I'm disgusting and lowly because I'm not a millionaire like that family. It's weird. It's fucking weird as shit. And then, 17 years later, I'm like, guys, what is life? So Thriller, and then skip ahead, I guess, maybe 5 years, 6 ish. I graduate at the end of graduation from acting school. I got a job at a place called Resurrection. I just never thought of like the actual like symbolic meaning of those places that I worked. So Resurrection was an expanding retail. And then there was, I mean, when I think back to that place, there was a lot of crazy shit happening there as well. A lot of like male domination, and like the owners would just hire certain types of people that looked a certain way. And the owner and the manager were quite like overtly, like they would sexualize the women. I was in denial because I was in my own shame spirals at the time, because I just finished university and I was broken. My spirit was broken basically, because that's what academia does. Well, certainly that's what the acting degree did, because the acting degree, yeah, just squelched my spirit, because I was traveling and had all this philosophical stuff coming out. I was like, right, now I'll become a famous actress and spread my light with the world, or spread my voice, that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, for shizzles. It's the truth. It's for sure the truth, right? We're drawn to work, learn from. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Resurrection. And then I left, and that was me 2, 3, I got my license. I went through a whole distorted pattern around promiscuity, alcohol, drugs and alcohol. It got worse and worse and worse. And then I met Mohan and I started doing yoga like a freaking badass because I knew I was killing myself. So, um, this place called Pagan Rhythms. It's like, as of course, like, of course, we just, yeah, we know the places in such a way. And it was more for me, certainly at the time, it wasn't about the names, but it was the independent factor. Like, I knew then in my early mid 20s, I'm like, I can't work for, I couldn't do corporate. I couldn't, it's like my beingness couldn't even make sense of it. And in fairness, some of my clients that I've finished working with at this point, having left the corporate world, now I know there's a huge level of disconnection and disempowerment for people to even get in there. So the level of anxiety and depression going on within the corporate sector and the systematic world is sky high. And for me, that level, it's like everyone has their different natural set point. For me, it was like I couldn't even, it was too dense. I couldn't even make sense of it in my beingness. Because I knew the link. I knew on an intuitive level the link of corporate greed and capitalism in that regard. And it so did not resonate that even being in those buildings or being around those people or having to sit there with some fucking tutorial of people telling you how to sell and da da da. I was just like, huh. Like, I can't do it. I don't, like, just my whole body would be like, get away, get away. Coffee shop, Cafe Brazil. Defo, I feel like it would be nice to go to Peru or go to, not just Peru, but like go to, oh, that's it. That's the end of my coffee, guys. Go to South America. Matab, we're having similar weird shit happen in the UK though. Randomly, but not random, like where I'm living. My new roomie, she's really quite into politics and also really cool. Like, I talk to her about the same stuff we talk about and she gets it, which is just fucking divine. And which is like proof of like more people just like awakening, like they're just like naturally like like aware. And hence where I'm coming from, where like these are people of different walks of life who just have a connection, and so they understand, and they're not judgy. It doesn't matter whether you're a yoga teacher or you know what I mean. It's none of it actually matters. Journey at some point in the near future. Yes, yes, yes. Even just like a month hauls somewhere. I can't do the hustle travel anymore, but I feel like, yeah, just a bit of a group hug in South America. um, I had a job at a store named Structure to spend full tricks on the clothes and toys. I know. I just spend my money there as well. At Resurrection, like all the new stuff would come in, but Resurrection was a really cool shop. It had some new stuff, but then it had whole sections of just like secondhand, vintage buys or whatnot. And I would just, yeah, accumulate. You spend a day in a shop folding clothes and talking to people buying stuff, and then you're like, oh, what can I have? And so you just like try stuff on and then want it. Although, hear me out. I just went to a charity shop, by the way. So this, you guys can't see, but like this outfit, and I tried on this really cool. So these pants, which are, you can't see them really, but they're like loose and high waisted and very comfortable. So I went to a charity shop called Street Folk, and because I obviously work online, which is a fairly solitary commitment, and I love it because I love you guys and I never feel alone in truth. But I ventured out into my neighborhood yesterday, and I I found this charity shop. I just wanted to go to charity shop and then sit in like a cafe and do some reading and writing. And I so I found this cool ass charity shop with two, just you can tell kind of like grounded hippie witchy type ladies who run it. And it just, and in my mind I was like, oh, maybe I could, because I don't remember you guys. I was like getting started with the volunteering in the North Devon hospice in the town that I lived in Devon. And then and then so I walk into this charity shop and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if they need any help. Because I'm thinking of like literally how can I be of service? Because I'm like money online. I'm at money when I sleep. I'm at money online. I'm at money when I sleep. So I'm like in the physical world. I'm like I need to be a little bit of service and like meet people. And I met somebody who I also mentioned. I'm like I do public speaking. So like woohoo, meeting connections, which is fantastic. But then in the charity shop, I was like, I wonder if they need any help. And then, of course, as I'm heading toward the change rooms to try all this sexaliciousness on, pardon me, I see a sign that says, "Can you spare a few hours?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, I can." So I need to remember to write this down. But I'm going to go in on Thursday and give them a few hours. And I'm right in there. I'm like, "Are you guys on social media? Are you on Instagram?" I'm like, "Do you need help with that?" I'm like, "I can do that for you." And because they like literally, I was like, 2, 3 hours a week, like go in one day and just mooch about, say hi to some customers, clean it up. Like it's easy and it's a lovely environment, except I know, but then that will be my weekly shop, my weekly shop. Beach! Thank you. I know it's sexilish to the max. And that's the thing about like, because at this stage, like I can't even buy new ever. Like I just can't do it. I'm like, "Ugh, so I can only buy charity, but it means anything goes, you know? Because to me, when it's all upcycled, recycled, even as a vegan, technically, like if there's a pair of boots and they're leather, but I haven't killed more creatures for them, and they're from like the 70s or something. I'm like, well, somebody's got to wear them. So, you know, technically, I don't think there's cruelty anymore in wearing only vintage and secondhand. Plus, it's technically the zero waste vibrashe, and it's unique because these pants right here, these are made in England. They're literally just probably some girl like us who's like, hey, these are nice, and then put an elastic band around the waist, which is jolly good. And then I have another one of you guys, another one of my internet buddies here, has some friends going out to like a funk gig or something, reggae funk in DMB or something on Saturday. And him and his friend, who's another political person, is going to take me to dinner. So I'm like, yes, I have friends. Because I literally spent so much time in Devon, like not socializing ever and like not being taken out or that was by choice, obviously. It's all my own choices. Thanks, Christian. You're so deep like the grandmother of all time. So much love for humanity and increasingly little tolerance. No, I do have infinite tolerance. In Gobi Land in Switzerland, they don't wear clothes. In fairness, there's a polarity that intrigues me about that because some of the like ashrams I went to, all the boys and girls had to wear the same clothes. And like I'm acutely aware that like in some more male dominant circles, the reason women aren't allowed around is because like our bodies trigger men and they want to stay in control. And so they can't have that. And so women have to cover up. I mean, that's a really, I would say, simple lead in to like a much more dynamic conversation around our global patriarchal structure and women's empowerment and our ability. And I had to kind of, and I'm still having to lay down those boundaries, but like not being sexualized and not, like, and it's subtle. it's not about like not complimenting, and it's not about like austerity that women don't want to have sex or any of that kind of stuff, but there is a sense of like loving wholeness and true fundamental respect. Like, listen to the words, and don't just look at the image. And that's something I've discovered with that kind of more stalkery energy of a fixation. Like, no, I feel that way. So you're mine. You should be mine. Like, if I feel this way, you have to feel this way too. And you're like, because we're all living our own unique lives. But, and like women know that, because I would say it's more propagated to women to have those fixation and habituation because, um, hey, tree hugger, yes, off you go. Off to astral dreams. Have a wonderful day at work tomorrow. Yeah, work is totally play, isn't it? When it's consciously chosen. Be well. You're so awesome. Thanks for being here. And you guys are all awesome, FYI. Okay, so I keep looking up, see, 555. It was 5505, and then I'm looking up at 55555. I'm like, holy showzas, holy showzas. Toxic masculinity, patriarchal system. Yeah, in any of us. Because again, it's not a gender. You guys know this, but I guess if new people or random people were to find the channel, I have to explain that. But like, it's not gender specific in the form of separation. It's energy specific. So women can be just as dominant in their masculine, like in that toxic masculinity. Women can use and abuse, control and dominate, use their sexual power and or whatever to like snake in. It's like this idea of like women getting pregnant on purpose to like entrap a man. Men can kind of lie and deceive to try to get you, to try to pretend they're this character when really that's not where they're coming from. And even recently, having somebody be like, "Oh yeah, no, I need to book a session. I'm having a lot of emotional things going on," and then that was not the nature of the discussion at all. So I'm like, well, at this point, I can't work with people if you're lying. If you're lying to me, that doesn't work. So I know, divine sight. Oh, that like almost triggered me. I'm like, what? Fuck you, bitch. Yeah, that's a really. It's such a fucked up thing. Even recently, I saw something on like what I thought was like a conscious. Well, I guess it was, and it might have been Way on Lewis or like Elephant Journal. Um, Messaging, putting a post of a girl's booty where like, when you're wearing little booty shorts and like some of your ass is hanging out. And I'm at that point because I've gone through like physical body transformation. I would love being able to wear what I love and like what I love feeling good in. And because I'm aware of people's judgments, I don't give a shit. So whatevs. But then so I'm like rooting for like just women get to wear what they want, like obviously, right? Like, and men have to just deal with their own distorted sexual desire in their own way. And like, yeah, we can continue to have a conversation for sure, right? But it was amazing to me to see all the shaming, and in particular, more women. Like, women should respect themselves and cover their art, or like women, da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh God, we still put so much on each other, and like, and then all that screams to me is just more shaming. Like, we should feel unsafe, and so that deems that one person, that's what respect looks like covering your whole body up, that's respectful, but having your ass hanging out, that's disrespectful. I'm like, but our asses are beautiful or disgusting. Like, it's the same, one and the same. Watch what you wear because you might get ooh, the recent lies revealed. Ooh, interesting. I'm curious more about that. Hey, Lorna, did I say hi? Nice to see you here for sure. Ugh. And that's still a thing. Like, I remember that being a discussion in they have body issues, precisely what you were wearing. You were asking for it. That's like a discussion still. I'm like, fuck. Like I said, it shows that like the infinite tiers of reality are still very much in existence for people, right? Uh, but there again, I think is why this shift is totally happening. It's the divine femme. It's this very powerful whole container, basically with certain energies having like certain energies just getting burned through that divine spark and that divine light within us and the clarity of one's example. The more of us rising in the truth of our knowingness and through the energetic anchor versus the external anchor, that light and that purity is ultimately what permeates this field. And then more and more humans just having these awakenings and then dropping into the understanding instantaneously. That's the efficacy of the channel. And I mean, the channel is in the truth of our knowingness to have a platform to just be the self that you are, without imprinting an indoctrination label on it, which I endeavor and sort of in my purest heart would hope that the Fearless Life guide doesn't do that. It's, and I would say as well that I, even as the author, would say that this will one day as a process not be effective. We will have risen beyond its tools, you could say. But in essence, the Fearless Life guide is quite radical because what it's saying is like you are the only true healer in the self. So what I'm saying here, sort of propagating, is that everything in your whole reality has the potential to heal you if you can be present with it and own it as your own creative field. I never knew how radical that it would be for people, that they don't want to own it, that they just want to blame me or blame someone else, or yeah, and then go around in circles complaining about the shits. And I'm like, oh God, I can't do that anymore. I'm tired of it. Oh, elf, totally. Elf, it nailed it, and it's so true. Tribes that have mainly nakedness don't have sex issues or body issues. No, and when and oftentimes those are much more balanced tribes or balanced kind of cultural, I want to say dichotomy, or just like how they interplay. Because there's no attachment. Like in our weird historical imprinting, this is very personal to me, but relevant to those who are reflections of that. Um, but for a lot of women, our sexual energy is totally intertwined with our ability to survive on the planet because we had to be we had to have a man, otherwise you'd end up on the streets, a whore, a servant. Um, so you're, I don't know, you guys get it, right? It's like it's all interwoven. And then the backlog is often how we're seeing people acting out, which is a trigger point for a lot of us in our awakenings, right? Um, because for me, it was those unconscious patterns that I was waking up to, being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And both parents being adopted, I don't know the heritage, but as more information comes to light, I can easily hold space in my container to be aware of where that comes from on a historical level. And it's survival, and using and abusing one another via sex is also part of the enslavement system because essentially we're veiled and enslaved to breed, which I know is a really kind of ugly thing to think about, but I see that. And it's beautiful to also see more conscious unions and more conscious parenting happening. Um, but it certainly does trigger the programmed moms, you could say. Like, oh my God, blah, blah, the gossip trails of group consciousness. Not all are connected for sure. You don't have to marry to make a baby born. No, not at all. And I would dare I say as well, like baby is creation. So in truth, you don't even really have to have sex. It's um though subconsciously though a hero domination. Uh, I need to noodle with that, or go into a little bit in a little bit more insight into that. So now I just looked up 1 4 1 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 Okay, so I'm hoping that this one is going to process and upload for all y'all. Well, for myself, it's just because I get OCD. That's it's not. No, I don't. I don't get OCD, but it's my Virgo ness. My attention, hence me like working for hours these last few weeks. I've just, other than when I drove across fucking Europe, but like, and then moved house as well at the speed of light, dare I say. Yes, Olivia. But I'm closing her down. Look, it's been an hour. Um, so I really hope I didn't wait when we were way out, because she did get up and go pee quite early after I woke up at 4. Um, so I don't remember what I was actually saying. Oh yeah, the processing and hoping that it like goes live, and then me doing all this behind the scenes work where my Virgo like focusing too much, and it can trigger me. Like it can get me a little like because I'm trying to understand stuff that is a little bit far reaching for me to understand, but like I'm slowly navigating it. But this is where I was talking about like all these addresses, because I've moved around so fucking much. And like, and then all these addresses have different connections, and like, and then with Google AdSense and these different online things, you have to like verify. And I'm only uncovering this in the last few weeks, which was all part of me also not going live anymore and just being like, what the fuck is going on YouTube? Like, what is happening? Why can't I access this information? And how is it that I'm the one who set it up, but then you won't let me access the revenue, and like all this craziness? So, oh, and then this channel, everything's been destabilized, not destabilized, so demonetized. So they've taken away, and I don't know if that's because my content's not suitable for most advertisers, or because I connected another YouTube channel. I have no idea. I'm still trying to work it out, but and it wouldn't matter, because even though YouTube analytics was showing me like, you've made 40 pounds this month, and I'd be like, woohoo. And I started to see that more. I'm like, so where is the money then? Like, you're telling me that I'm making money out of monetizing my videos, but I have no way of accessing. So it's basically me following that trail of trying to access the money that YouTube's saying that I'm making. And then in doing all of this, somehow I have demonetized everything. And now YouTube is telling me that I'm not eligible right now. And I'm not exactly sure why. Men at one point were able to have babies. Interesting, Alf, because I have some totem. Oh, by the way, divine sight, and then anyway, no, that's fine. I'll send it later. But it's interesting you say, because I have a animal totem of the seahorse, and the seahorse, it's the male that gives birth, I'm pretty sure. And it's funny that you're saying that, because I feel that androgenity or androgynousness. Like, I feel like that's the truth. But it's part of the manifestation of duality as well. And I would say it's part of the rising of co-creation, because then there is a sense of the unity that comes with divine sexuality and sacred sexuality, not control and domination, and not lustful desire, and or desire in seeking one's fulfillment via relationship. And that's something we're mostly defaulted and programmed to do. That's why I can see infatuation comes in. The majority of people, it's like, if they don't truly have that ultimate love and respect, they try to like hook in different ways. And really what's going on is like, you're going to fulfill me, you're going to give it to me, you're going to make it happen for me, but I don't ultimately have the respect, so I can't do it above board. And that's the shift for me in the attraction point, or the above board encounters and relationships. And that's now coming in really fast and thick. And in the physical realm as well, like just meeting random people who are on a certain level, and there that can then reflect back my desired intent. Elf. Ego. There's like an ego massage, but then that's also like, but then what that brings up for me is that weird sense, and this is where I've had to, I've pulled away from certain communities because of the idea of censoring or limiting because of that. So I'm like, we're good, girl. You got all, everyone can find us here now. We're wide open for the world, to access. My ideal is really just to somehow have a break with this beautiful material. And then that way I can find myself some roots, you know, buy a plot of land or buy a little place where I can finally have like a place to call my own and not have change of address all the time and have a little Alta Love headquarters. And then I can just keep showing up for you guys here and not really have to worry about much else. But like I would have to be shifting probably a few thousand of these a month. Yeah, but that will happen. I'm just being straight up with you guys, right? Anywho, look, my day is beginning. Can you guys hear my ding, 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 dong, 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 ding, ding, dong, da, dong. Oh, look, 420. I sold a pair of Sweaty Betty track bottoms and a pair of mesh leggings. I sell the yoga gear is like some of the only things, but I buy all my yoga stuff. Obviously, it's secondhand, right? So I buy all my yoga stuff, and I tend to buy the brands. So I'll buy like Lululemon, Sweaty Betty, and then I resell them, and I often make as much or more money as when I, buy them. So it's pretty cool. I really appreciate eBay for that. Get that island. I know. Cosmic Lawful fills for sure, for sure. Yes, androgynous. So this is the unity self, right? And we're seeing it more. Hero explained, hero dominant. Where did you send it to me? Okay. Yeah, infinite, and I'm dropping deeper into the patience, hence just like showing up and doing what I love and enjoy. But as the author of a global international bestseller, my gracious service to the world is to do these live shares for people and explain everything that y'all know already, because y'all found me before anything got permeated in an obvious way. Anywho, I love you. And this is the thing with my company. You guys know I just want to share it all with you. I mean, I want to enjoy life for sure and have all the things that one desires. The desires are mostly simple and in unity and in divine right action for the whole, because I continually surrender my own will to the whole in service. So, anywho, and so really it's like, hey guys, why don't you also break free and become free and then give your life to the whole and live in a way that is like, you're not going to destroy us, basically. I love how you make a point of saying alcoholic pina colada popsicle. Oh, that sounds delicious. I personally, at this point, even kombucha is a bit strong for me. So I would probably do the non-alcoholic pina colada popsicle, because pina colada is so fucking good. Like, it's so good. It's always been my fave. Give me any tropical flavor. Give me some coconut and pineapple, or pineapple and mango, or a little bit of passion fruit and mango. My mouth is watering. Usually they are sober. Okay. So Sweet CC has added the alcohol for her own enjoyability. Oh, you guys, I love you so much. Have a really, really wonderful day wherever you are. Nice. Yeah, enjoy the popsicle, my love, and all of you have enjoyable evenings and days and all of that. Uh, yeah, sweet CC, baby, baby, get it up. Don't worry, we're shining love and light around you. And virtual hug, virtual hug, and then like my outfit. Tun, 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 tun. Have a beauty day, you guys. Hugs and mega, mega love.